2 days away from the biggest early season Big Ten football game. Illinois at Indiana should be a sellout crowd in Bloomington. College football playoff hopes on the line for both of these programs. 3-0 starts. Cignetti, Bielema, been very respectful. Mendoza, Altmaier, two quarterbacks that have been phenomenal to start the year. This is a great game. Can't wait to watch this game. The line on this game has moved big in the favor of Indiana. Opened as 4-point favorites. It's all the way up to Indiana -6 as we sit here today. You can get Illinois basically 2-1 to upset Indiana on the road here. And we've done a lot of different videos covering this game in various ways, things that have been said, the Indiana fan base's approach to this game, saying it's just Illinois, it's not a big game. There's a lot of content you can get from us already on the channel. This will be our final video on Indiana, Illinois, at least you and I's final video because you're out tomorrow. But this is our throwback style preview, just a game preview of Illinois at Indiana. Let's get right into it, Cart. First off, how excited for this game are you?
I'm very excited for this game. I think you have two really good football teams, two good quarterbacks, two good coaches that are differing styles too, I would say. And I think early on in the season, anytime you can get a game that I think, and I'm pretty sure that this game is going to have college football playoff implications, and I think you're getting that in a high level Big Ten game. So just as a fan of this, I'm very excited to watch how this plays out,
There's
whatever
a
the
big
outcome might be.
there's a big three in the Big Ten. I think Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State in a tier of their own. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so.
Outside of that tier of three, are these the next two best teams in the league?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, you could throw USC in the mix. You could maybe convince me Michigan's around there, but I think for the most part, these teams are comfortably like in the top five, top six of
Yeah.
this league at minimum.
Yep.
Um, does the winner of this game, do they bump up a tier? Is that what's on the line here? Obviously, like the path to a college football playoff is there for the winner for sure. But like, say Illinois goes on the road and beats Indiana, they're ninth in the country right now. I'd assume they jump up to like seventh or sixth if they win this game. Do you start to view them the same way you view like a Penn State?
This feels wrong to say, but I think I would have to see how the win looks.
Okay, style
I feel
points.
I feel like that's nitpicky because even as like, and we'll get a little bit deeper into this as we go through this, but um, you look at both these teams, how they played, how their wins have occurred, and obviously two different teams as far as scheduling and things like that, but we'll get a little bit deeper into it. But I do think that if Illinois wins in a certain fashion, in a certain way, then yes, I do think they would force themselves into that tier.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's a world, even if they just eke it out, I feel like either one of these teams might
Oh yeah,
jump.
and likewise for Indiana too. I feel like I left them out. If
Yeah.
Indiana wins in a certain fashion, then I agree. I agree as well. They should be put into that tier.
Yeah, I guess if either team like stomps them for sure. But to me, even if like I don't know, even if you eke out like a 3-point win in this game, but look pretty good in the process, I wouldn't hate jumping this team up to like a contender tier of four. I think that's what's on the line here. So, okay, let's talk through some stuff here. I feel like it has gone a little unnoticed, but there's a big loss for Indiana that I think is going to matter in this game. Their leading rusher, Lee Beebe Jr., is out for the season. Now, he's technically not their leading rusher anymore, but it's because he got hurt in that game and ended up kind of missing a couple carries he would have gotten. They have been doing a by committee approach with Hemby, with Black, and then with Beebe. But Beebe has been the best rusher on a per attempt basis, 7.7 yards per attempt. To me, he's been the best eye test back for Indiana, and he's out. So I gotta be honest, I am confused by how this line has moved. I really am. Like they do DraftKings does the early opening lines, and like on I want to say Saturday night last week, you could just scroll in and see like, oh, brand new opening line. It was Indiana -2.5. And then it jumped up to 4 immediately and just progressively, I guess it's been bet up to 6.
Yeah, it's at six
Um,
right now.
I don't get it. I mean, I think these teams are just very similar in caliber at minimum. Home field is worth some points for sure. Indiana should be favored. But with the loss of Beebe, especially against an Illinois team that's like perfectly healthy, I don't really get why they're such a sizable favorite. Do you get it either, or are you as confused as me?
I'm as confused as you because especially at that 4.5 number, like I feel like there would be a good amount of money coming in on Illinois at that number. And I just think to your point, these are two similarly good teams, right? To the point where I think home field advantage gives you a little bit of a pull here. What like, which is where I expect this game to be like somewhere like 2.5, honestly, 3.5 max on this game. The fact that it's at 6, as I wrote the newsletter yesterday, it had me looking up if Illinois was missing a player or something.
Yeah, I don't get it. They're not, right? Like
I
I
I
can't find
I
anything.
couldn't find anything. If someone can tell me otherwise, I would love to know.
Yeah,
Is
I
does
just
Luke
I
does
don't
Luke
get it.
Altmaier have some bad monocles or something?
It's suspicious to say the least. Now, if we were gonna like put our sharp hats on here, it would make me think Indiana is, I don't know, like Vegas knows something we don't. Because if the line's at 6, that means Vegas wants you to bet Illinois card. And that's not a good spot to be in. When you do what you know the sports books want you to do, it's terrifying. But like, dude, I've simulated this game like 25 times in my head. I can't see Illinois getting blown out. I just can't. They're too vetty. 16 starters back. They've been poised on the road a bunch in the last 2 years. I think they're a big game team. Like you saw in the bowl game, Bielema got his guys up for it, and it meant something to him. Like that's gonna be this game. So I don't know. Like there's maybe 1.5 games in the last year where I feel like Illinois football has no showed. Obviously, the Purdue game was a no show, but to me, they would have to no show for this to be like a 7+ point loss to Indiana. Am I tripping on that or no?
Yeah, they would. And I just don't, I don't want to put myself in a bad spot here by putting this out here, but I would be shocked, floored if Illinois no-showed this football game. I think
Yeah.
Bielema's too good of a coach. They're too good of a team. They could lose, don't get me wrong. But a no-show, like just a show up and like to not get off the bus, I really don't see that in the cards.
Yeah. Yeah, me either. I don't get it. Let's talk some guys in this game that are going to matter because I wrote this in the newsletter. I do think these teams are pretty impeccably even in caliber. Like I feel like I don't know. We're slanting towards Illinois because we can't believe they're getting 6 points. Guess what? If Indiana was getting 6 points, I would love Indiana in this game. I
Yeah.
think they're about identical, and it's just about the value of the betting. To the point on them being nearly identical through 3 games. Mendoza and Altmaier are one passing yard away from each other. Both have
That-
thrown for 708 and 709 yards. The leading rushers on these teams, Black and Fagan, 5 rushing yards away from each other. The leading receivers in this game, Cooper and Beatty, 10 receiving yards away from each other. Like guy by guy down the list, these offenses have been producing at a very similar rate. Um, can we go through some of these and talk who we think has the edge? First off, which quarterback are you taking in this game?
I'm taking Altmaier.
That's not the consensus. Mendoza is a guy that is mocked as early as first overall in the 2026 or NFL draft. Why are you taking Altmaier over Mendoza?
Can I flip this on you?
Sure.
This is your Michael Brown situation.
Meaning what?
I mean, Luke Altmaier is a really good quarterback. He's Braden Smith in this case. Maybe you want to draft Mendoza higher, but who's the better college quarterback?
Mendoza being Michael Brown's insane.
I'm just saying in that fashion.
Yeah, this is where I look. I love Altmaier. I do. Mendoza is a more talented quarterback. So take whatever you want. I don't think there is much to point to with Mendoza that would scare you at all in this game. If Indiana loses this game, it's not going to be because of Mendoza, in my opinion. Now you could go through. Mendoza hasn't exactly like ever won a big game, but that's because he played at Cal, right? And they played Miami last year. Miami was a very good football team, obviously. He went toe to toe with Cam Ward. That game came down to the wire, 1 point Miami win. So I think the jury is out on what Mendoza is like in pressure situations, but he's a better arm talent. That's why you end up projected as the number one pick. So I think it's totally reasonable to feel confident with Luke Altmaier here. I don't really see the argument for like I would take Altmaier over Mendoza or using quarterback as a reason you like Illinois in this game, if that makes sense.
Just because Mendoza is more talented.
It's because he's good. I don't think Indiana will lose this game because of anything Mendoza does, if that makes sense.
That's fair to say. Um, I don't. I mean, at the same time, though, like early in the season, they got the same passing numbers. Mendoza has faced basically you and I at cornerback so far.
Sure, but they benched Mendoza too. They brought him out like early in second
Fair.
half. So I think
Fair. I also hand up here, just throwing this out there. You can go back to the end of time. I've just never been a Mendoza. I don't see it. Like the whole like first overall pick, best quarterback. That is the biggest indictment on the quarterback position right now that I've ever seen.
I don't either. He also looks like that one comedian. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Which one? Hold on,
There's
let me get this headshot up.
I'm pretty sure you know who I'm talking about. It's like the very pointy headed, big nose comedian.
Oh, he looks like Trevor Wallace.
He looks like Trevor Wallace. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I can't shake that. Like I'm picturing Trevor Wallace quarterbacking Indiana. I'm just like, no, thank you. Um, so here's the thing for me, and it reminds me of something I said before Illinois Duke. I think Illinois got to get this game into a spot where they don't need to go quarterback for quarterback. And again, Altmaier can rise to the occasion and lean on Beatty and just make plays. But I think the thing I wanted from them in the Duke game was like, can they game manage their way to a win? Can they win on the margins, the special teams plays, the turnovers, just get a lead and coast? Ultimately, that's what happened. Duke shot themselves in the foot repeatedly early, and Illinois was just able to control the game. I think that's the game script that is conducive to them winning this game as well. I don't think you want to get in a high scoring game. And I think on the flip side, Cignetti wants a high scoring game, right? Cignetti would love to come out and say, let's go offense for offense, first team to 50 wins. Now, it's probably going to come down to how successful the Illinois defense is in containing the Hoosier offense. But again, I think you could kind of get some advantages just from special teams plays and maybe force a turnover or two and get out to a lead. If Illinois is able to take a lead early, I think they coast and win this game. I think they're comfortable in that setting, that game script, the just don't make mistakes, be vetty, tight, be solid. If Illinois is down 7 early and it becomes like I got to make plays to elevate us, that's what scares me. So, you go through Indiana's history too under Cignetti. I've mentioned they've struggled in their biggest spots. Part of that is because they just get down quickly, right? And an Indiana team, a Curt Cignetti team, playing from behind is totally different than a Curt Cignetti team playing from an even playing field. So I'll be watching the first couple drives in this game very closely. It could literally just be one big play, force a turnover, and obviously either side could do that. But one thing I will just say, the coaching and the big game stuff matters to me huge here from Illinois. And I wrote about it. I've talked about it on the channel. It's everywhere at this point from me. But in the last calendar year, Brett Bielema's team has played 6 ranked opponents. I would add the Duke game to it from this year too. They're not a ranked opponent, but that was a big game feel, a road game, whatever. Let's call that their big game. 7 big games going back to last year. They're 6-1 against the spread in their big games. They constantly outperform expectation in those games. They show up. That is Brett Bielema. That is Altmaier. That is all these vets, these 16 returning starters that won a bowl game, that won 9 games, that feel like there's a step forward from a 9-3 team, and this is the year. Indiana on the flip side, the entire way Cignetti runs this program is fearful of these games. He doesn't want to schedule them. He doesn't want to play them. He wants to get to them and celebrate the fact that he got to them. And then when you get to them, you can't run from them, right? Indiana 0-3 last year in big games against ranked opponents against the spread. Lost them and lost against the spread. Just was what it was. And they haven't been tested at all this year. I think that's going to matter. Mendoza hasn't been in an Indiana uniform against a team that's even like Purdue football capable. So This is baptism by fire for me. I got one coach that I trust in big games. I got 16 starters from a team that were stellar in big games last year against a team with more turnover, with more serious injuries, with a coach who's been historically awful in his biggest games. And you're giving me 6 points to the side that's good in the big games? I got to take it, Cart. I got to take it. Do you have any final thoughts before we get to a prediction?
Yeah, I need your official stance on Illinois' victory over Duke and how the five turnovers factored into that. Because it was five turnovers to zero. You could make an argument that the scoreboard was a little bit fluky to what the game actually looked like. I mean, Duke had more yards, they averaged more yards per play. They also just shot themselves in the foot five straight times. And now some of those were forced by Illinois. I'm not saying they weren't, but there was also some self-inflicted parts of that. Um, I guess, with the whole big game portion of this, do you think it is the fact that is Indiana going to play it safe, which will work in their factor, or do they try to do too much and shoot themselves in the foot?
I mean, I think a Signetti offense in general is always going to be aggressive, which will open the door for an opportunistic defense. Now, yeah, I have no problem pointing back to the Duke game with Illinois and saying like that score was not indicative of how the game was. I don't think Illinois is 30 points better than Duke, but I think they're opportunistic and they're smart. And I don't think a team with 16 returning starters from a 9-3 team is ever going to shoot themselves in the foot. Like that's not how you're going to beat Illinois. You're going to beat Illinois by just showing up and being bigger, faster, more athletic, more talented than them and executing at a high level. Can Indiana do that? I don't know. At quarterback, they do have a bigger, faster, more athletic guy. Everywhere else on the football field, I think is pretty equal. Like I don't know that there's running backs or receivers I'm taking from Indiana over Illinois. I think Pons, the defensive back, is great, first round pick. Like you probably got a couple playmakers on defense for Indiana that are a different level athlete than a few of Illinois. But it's
I've heard
not
I've heard that one before though.
it's not noteworthy, right? It's not like there's 20 guys. It's not like this is Ohio State, right? That to me, these are two very similar caliber teams. But yeah, I think Illinois is so vetty. They want to win games by playing opportunistic football. And the question will be how can Signetti's team execute? They'll be at home. It's a big spot. They might be stellar. I don't know. But I'll roll the dice because at minimum 6 points is way too much.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
All right, predictions. We're both very obviously taking Illinois plus 6. Even as we sit here, it's up to 6.5, minus 120. It's absurd. Um, who wins the game though?
I'm picking Illinois to win this football game, and this might be the kiss of death for Illinois, so I'm sorry about that. But the fact of the matter is, I think these teams are even, and I am taking Brett Bielema to not just absolutely dominate this game, but I think that he shows Cincinnati a little something in this one. Some Cincinnati's not ready for.
It's the ultimate sign of respect to Illinois if you pick Illinois to win this game outright because the only time Signetti will ever lose a football game is if he's playing a great football team. Signetti will beat up on good football teams. He'll beat up on bad football teams. He'll beat up on awful football teams. The only time Signetti runs into issues is when he plays a great football team. But I think Illinois is a great football team. And I'm taking Illinois outright in this game.
Why not us?
ILL, baby.